This is Wolverine, flat on his back, with a sword held over him by a man who is deciding whether to bother. The blade goes in, and it stays in. He ends that issue on his knees in front of something enormous, waiting to be told what happens to him. The wounds down his back are still open long after the fight is over. 7 issues earlier, he is underwater, about to say 2 words he has never had to say, not healing. 2 S.H.I.E.L.D. divers watch him hunch over in the water and do nothing, because nobody has ever needed to. He fights the only way he knows, which is to absorb all of it and keep walking forward. Here, 2 men simply hold him still, and for the first time in his life, that is a problem. By the last page of that issue, the most durable man in Marvel Comics is a man who bleeds and stays bleeding. The Wolverine most people carry around came off a screen, and he is very simple. He cannot be stopped, and he cannot be hurt in any way that lasts. The Wolverine Marvel printed is Wolverine Volume 5, Issue 6. Here is the claim this video makes. The healing factor was never Wolverine's power. It was the thing that made everything ever done to him survivable and therefore repeatable. The arc that finishes the job is called Killable, and it was not the story's idea. Bleeding Cool reported that Marvel settled on killing Wolverine at a creative summit in February 2013, months before the depowering issue reached a shelf. By the end of this, you will know what that healing factor was actually doing in his stories, and what he does when somebody offers to give it back. It takes 8 issues. It goes in issue 6. It is made permanent at the end of issue 13, and the whole of it fits inside 2 collected volumes. Chapter 1, Drowning Logan and What They Ask. The setting is a sunken S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier called the Hercules, held on the sea floor by a sentient virus out of the microverse that is wearing the crew as bodies. Wolverine's contribution to the rescue is to put his claws up at an infected agent who is deliberately winding him up. It works, which is the problem with him. And in the middle of that, somebody asks a question worth stopping on. Do we have the Wolverine? Not is Logan alive. Not is he hurt. Do we have him? That is the sentence you use about equipment, and the answer they get back is yes. He is useful because he is the one you can spend. In his stories, that has never been an insult. It is the job description, and he has never once argued with it. So he works the problem instead, climbing a flooded deck that has gone vertical, reading the ship for a way out of it. He calls the mess hall his hamster wheel, then tells himself out loud that it is not a great analogy. It is not. He is right. Chapter 2. The thing that admires him. The virus is talking through Nick Fury's face, which it has kept alive, and it is perfectly polite about the whole arrangement. It has already flooded one deck to prove that it can, and it has a squad of surgically gilled agents standing by to prove it a second time. It explains how it works. Its control spreads through the air, and it can speak with the normal voices of the people it is inside. Logan asks the only question that interests him. Does it feel their pain when it is in there? It does. All of it. All the time. And then it says why it will not simply take him. The pain he carries, it tells him, is part of what makes him a beautiful piece of art. That is this entire video in one balloon. The enemy is not admiring his strength. It is admiring how much damage he has absorbed and stayed standing through. Logan tells it that it is looking at him without knowing him, which is fair, and which is also what everybody who has ever used him has done. Then he kicks its host through a window and asks for the room, which is his version of ending a conversation. He finds an exit. S.H.I.E.L.D. runs expeditions into the microverse from this ship. A doorway out is a doorway out, and he and an agent black out most of the decks on the way. Before he takes the exit, the run does something almost nobody quotes. He mentions a telepath he was close to, and he asks her about her partner. Her partner checks in with her when he is away. He is not checking in now. Logan offers awkwardly to make it a double date when this is over. Then the room goes orange. The exit he found turns out to have been chosen for him. And if you want the rest of this, you should subscribe on the way past, because what is on the other side is the reason this whole run exists. Chapter 3. Made to be weapons. The virus gives its origin, and its origin is a sentence about him. It was made to be a weapon, exactly like him, grown in the body banks of a mad geneticist, and it escaped. It was persecuted and hunted, so it sent scouts into higher dimensions looking for somewhere it would not be. It found a living ship it did not understand, and took biological control of it. It reproduced. Its plan for Earth is infestation rather than invasion, and it sincerely believes that this counts as bringing peace. Conquest through dust in the wind, it says, without any of the violence it has grown tired of. Logan looks at the thing that has spent an issue calling him kin, and the comic hands you a mechanism it never names. Economists call it moral hazard. When somebody else absorbs the cost of a risk, the risk gets taken far more often and far more casually. His healing factor was the insurer. Weapon X, S.H.I.E.L.D, the X-Men, and now a virus have all behaved precisely the way people behave when the bill goes to somebody else. Chapter 4. 30 minutes on the ground. The rescue works. The ship surfaces, the hosts wake up, the casualties are low, and by every measure available, this is a win. Then he coughs blood into his own glove and looks at it like a man reading a language he used to speak. He goes down face first in front of an agent who is calling for a medic, which is a thing that has never once needed to happen. His own words are that he is losing a lot of blood. Then, why am I? The caption says he is very used to pain, and then it says this is not just pain. Something has been triggered inside him and he can feel it changing him. The issue ends on 4 panels of one face asking one thing. Why aren't I healing? He is not asking a doctor. There is nobody in the panel who could answer him. That is the halfway mark, and everything after it is the half people forget. The loss is only the setup. 7 issues later, Marvel has to make it stick, and the man it happened to gets a vote. Chapter 5. Sabretooth builds his case. The arc runs from issue 7 to issue 13, with Alan Davis drawing from issue 8, and it finishes in March 2014. Sabretooth spends the conclusion telling Logan what it took to strip him of everything he claims to stand for. The answer is fear of death, which most people manage to live with permanently. Then he prosecutes. Avengers do not kill. X-Men do not kill. Logan claims both memberships and kills constantly, and he heard Kitty Pryde say exactly that out loud the same day. He goes at the code of honor, the man who surrendered and got killed anyway. The innocents who stop counting as innocent the moment they annoy him. He mocks the sword, and the money, and the everyday guy act on a man who was born to the upper classes and cannot admit it. Mystique, watching, offers the shortest version of the same charge. He always kills the fathers and the sons, especially his own. And underneath the cruelty there is something Sabretooth badly wants, which is why this scene is worth 11 minutes of your time. He says he always assumed the 2 of them would be the last men standing, given a couple of centuries. He wanted Logan to eventually understand what he was and come back to him as an equal, and he is genuinely furious that it never happened. Instead, he says, Logan kept putting distance between them, kept inventing differences, kept looking down on him. He would not even use his real name, which from Sabretooth's side of the argument is the whole case in one detail. The made-up superhero called the Wolverine, he says, is a lie. Then he throws him to the floor in front of a crowd, which is the argument he actually trusts. Chapter 6. A sword and a question. Sabretooth uses his real name. Oh, James, said down at him quietly with the sword in one hand. Oh, Jim. Oh, Jimbo. Oh, Mr. Howlett. 3 times softly, the way you talk to somebody in a hospital bed. Kitty Pryde is close enough to watch it happen, and far enough away to do nothing about it. And then he asks it, do you want me to end it? Hold that question because the comic makes you wait through an entire other plot before it answers. On the Helicarrier, S.H.I.E.L.D has the virus's host wired into a machine that raises its sensitivity to human pain until it cannot bear to stay inside people. It hurts. Cities report in with their populations on their knees, holding their heads, and that is the treatment working, not failing. Then the reports change. The infected are waking up, and the virus is losing its grip on the planet a city at a time. It works. It also strips the virus of every host it has, which is going to matter in about 90 seconds. Back on the floor, Sabretooth gives his answer, and the answer is no. He will not kill him just because Logan wants it. He says he has made his point, and that killing him now would be a waste of a perfectly good one. Look how ridiculous you are, he tells him, and you know it. Instead, he will spend the next few decades watching Logan get old, the slow onset of infirmity, every day of it underlining who was right. The crowd stares up at a body held in the air, which is the only part of this any of them will remember. 3 claws and nothing to use them on. He offers generously to come and finish it in a nursing home one night while Logan can still tell it is him. Then he says, enjoy your sword, and leaves him alive on the ground, which is the cruelest thing anybody does to Wolverine in this entire run. His people glow and fade and go, and the fight ends without anyone winning it. Chapter 7. The offer on the floor. Kitty Pryde watches the paramedics work and admits she cannot say Sabretooth was lying. Logan brought them here looking for a confrontation, she says. He did it as if nothing had changed. She calls it self-harm, and she notes that it got a great many people killed. Then she says the part that should end the argument. She does not think he was even surprised. The virus, homeless now and nearly finished, borrows one last body and comes to make him an offer. It wants to hide inside him, underneath the antiviral protection he is carrying, and it has come to negotiate for it. It tells him he is not whole. It says this to a man whose face is currently unrecognizable, so it is not entirely wrong. He was never meant, it says, to be somebody who could be humbled this easily. You want to make amends, it says. You need power to do that. It asks how he intends to protect anyone when he cannot protect himself, which is Kitty's argument with the sympathy taken out. Seconds, it tells him. He has seconds before it is gone and the offer with it. And then it names the price it is willing to pay. To hide inside him, it would have to give him his healing factor back, and it would leave and let him keep it. Be the Wolverine again. The face they are saying it to is barely a face. Be yourself again. All he has to do is say yes. He says no. Chapter 8. What the healing factor was. Hours later at the Jean Grey School, the reports come in as mass unconsciousness and memory loss with very few deaths. The global emergency is over. Storm goes to meet the man who ended it, having been warned that Logan came back from this unhinged. What she meets is a man in bandages, walking and staying bandaged. 14 months later, Marvel kills him. Death of Wolverine, 4 issues, Charles Soule writing and Steve McNiven drawing, on sale from September the 3rd, 2014. He dies encased in molten adamantium at a rebuilt Weapon X, and Marvel's own history of adamantium says the quiet part plainly. Other test subjects did not survive the bonding process. His healing factor is the reason his body accepted the metal at all. So the skeleton was never a second power. It was a debt the healing factor had been quietly servicing since 1974, and the payments had just stopped. There is a real version of this. A virus can sit dormant in your nerve tissue for 50 years doing nothing whatsoever because your immune system is holding it still. Suppress that immune system and the same old virus comes back as shingles. The harm was never added. It was always in there, and the resilience was only hiding it. Which is why the last line of issue 13 is the one nobody quotes. Storm asks him what is going on, and he tells her the Wolverine is dead now. He says it 14 months before Marvel prints it, and he is answering the question an agent asked back in issue 6. Do we have the Wolverine? No, you do not. Marvel meant it too. Editor Mike Martz told Entertainment Weekly they approached it from a standpoint of finality, of closure, and Charles Soule said the event was built to stick. It held for roughly 4 years, which makes it one of the stickiest mainstream superhero deaths of the 2010s. So here is what you were promised. The healing factor was never the power. It was the permission slip, and 8 issues is all it took to cancel it. The Wolverine most people carry around is the one who cannot be stopped. The one Marvel actually printed spent his last 8 issues finding out what he was without it, and then said no when it was offered back. He was never indestructible. He was a man things were done to, who kept waking up. Take the waking up away, and what is left is the man. And the man is the part nobody was buying.